Hey guys, welcome to another live show, another live She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you guys are liking the video and subscribing to the channel. We're discussing another hijack, breaking news. Something told me, it's like your spirit tells you like some shit is going on. You need to wake the fuck up. Actually, no, it wasn't my spirit. It was my dogs wanting to go out to go wee. But either way, checked my phone, saw like some little Kiwior stuff maybe about an hour ago from Fabrizio Romano. Woke up again, saw that we are working to sign Piero Hincapie from Bayern Leverkusen. And then I checked the timeline a little bit further, and apparently Spurs, like an hour before that, had made contact with Bayer Leverkusen for Piero Hincapie. So we have another hijack on our on our hands here. Berta loves making those guys down the lane cry. But essentially, what David Ornstein is saying here is Arsenal are working to sign Piero Hincapie from Bayer Leverkusen, subject to player exits. 23-year-old defender told Leverkusen he wishes to leave, prioritizing Arsenal above others. Prioritizing Arsenal above others. Efforts ongoing to make fee more realistic than the 60 million euro clause. So he has a release clause in his contract for 60 million euros, but obviously Arsenal are going to try to negotiate around that. The subject to player sales, we'll get to that in just a second, but he is a left-sided defender, left back / center back, which that's not surprising considering this is the kind of profile that Arteta likes. We've been linked to him a couple times now, and I think maybe if it was earlier on in the window, we'd probably be looking at Jarell Hato, but because he's now gone to Chelsea, this is somebody that we're looking at. It's not going to give you the Eze endorphins, but I like signing good players, even if they're defenders. I think looking at our back line, especially on that left-hand side, to me, there's still questions about Kala. And if Kiwior is to go, I don't really think we should be leaving our season down to Calafiori's fitness, Zinchenko's fitness, and Miles Lewis-Skelly, So I do think it would be smart to definitely replace Kiwior if and when he does go. And so I see some people saying it's pointless. We should be getting an attacker. This doesn't have anything to do with an attacker. It's not that Arsenal are prioritizing a defender over an attacker. Kiwior wants to go, like what Lucky Strike is saying here, which has been pretty well known throughout this window that Kiwior is ready to go pursue other opportunities. He is well down the pecking order, and he's 25 years old, and it's a World Cup year. So he's going to want to make a move. And so Porto are working on that deal. I'll pull that up as well. But I think it's important to apply context around this, that it's not that we need this left wing and Arsenal are just ignoring it. They have a player leaving potentially, and they need to replace him. We can't just let Kiwior go and not bring somebody else in, because essentially, like, just think if Calafiori were to get injured for a significant amount of time, you're essentially leaving your left-hand side to Zinchenko and Miles Lewis-Skelly. That is nowhere near enough cover. And we've already seen with 2 games gone, we have 3 injuries to our some of our main players. So I don't think we can afford to risk it, especially after what happened last season. But Fabrizio Romano is saying that more on FC Porto, on Jakub Kiwior. New proposal to Arsenal this week, expected to be over 20 million euros, which it better fucking be. Loan with obligation to buy package set to be discussed after Arsenal rejected a bid from Porto for Kiwior back in July. Could be key for Arsenal to bring in a new center back. Yeah, essentially, I feel like this makes a whole lot of sense. Now, I haven't watched a lot of Hincapie, like, I haven't, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know him, that much, but, he sounds like a good player from what I've, like, read, from different people, so I'm down for it. I just don't think that we can afford to leave our season up to, Zinchenko, and Calafiori and Miles Skelly. It's just a lot. It's just a lot with we know that in one game you can lose two of your top players. So I'd rather be overstocked than understocked. And I love Kiwior, by the way. And you guys know I've always loved Kiwior. And it's not that I think that he's a bad player or anything. I just feel like it maybe wasn't the best fit. Um, I think one thing about Kiwior that stands out to me is whatever he can give you on the ball, there's always a question about maybe his physicality. Um, or his ability to maybe deal with the strongest strikers in the league. And so he's done really well, especially in Europe for us last season when Gabriel left. But I've kind of told you this before that just because I really like somebody doesn't mean that I feel like they need to stay forever. And I think this is somebody that we can afford to move on, let him go and then bring somebody in that's maybe a better fit for us moving forward, especially since what we really need is cover at left center back, but also somebody that feels comfortable at left back. And I don't think Kiwior feels that comfortable at left back. So Kiwior is kind of like pigeonholed in this left center mid or left center back position, which Calafiori now has. And we know we have Mascara there as well. So yeah, hold on real quick. Give me 2 seconds. Give me 2 seconds. Honey, what is wrong with you? You ate. You go outside? Water in your bowl or what? Okay, sorry. I wasn't on mute. I just had to go do something real quick. Um, let's see. Kiwior is clever and practical to look for clubs outside the Premier League. He's quality. We should get a proper fee. Don't kill the dog on live. Get him to a veterinarian. He doesn't need to go to the veterinarian. Bex's problem right now is he's woken me up at 2 o'clock in the morning because he wanted a treat. He's gotten his food and now he's still begging for a treat. Enough. Kiwior reminds me of Ramsdale in the sense that sometimes you see him switch off during a game and make the routine look complicated. Yeah, he does have kind of like he just has big moments of mistakes that I feel like would make you question whether or not he can play in the Prem. I really do think that the biggest issue with him is his inability to deal with the big, strong forwards in the Prem. I think that's probably why he did better in the Champions League for us because you didn't have to deal with as big of players. But when you talk about like the Matetas and the Raul Jimenez, they they bopped him, so, um, can't be having that, but, I think Kiwior is a good player, and it'd be a good idea to move on now and not just hold on for the sake of holding on, especially since he wants to go, which I respect, he's 25 years old, he knows this is an important year, and instead of just sitting around and not making squads and doing that nonsense, he's trying to push to, move his career forward, which I respect. 610 Vegas says, bench spot at Arsenal beats starting spot for Spurs. No one wants to play for Ten Hag. I want to show you guys the Fabrizio Romano tweet for Spuds because saw that they had tried to get him earlier on in the window. So, I didn't know what was going on there, but it was said it couldn't get done. And I don't know if it's because they were being cheap or, why they couldn't get it done. But earlier on in the window, they about maybe like 10 days ago, they had tried to talk to Hincapie and they couldn't figure out how to get it done. Now, because, he had played the game for Bayer Leverkusen and was like crying on the pitch, everybody knew that he was looking to go. And I do think that people are leaving by the masses to get away from Ten Hag. I just think, I don't know if his breath stinks or what it is, but goodness me, nobody wants to play for that guy. It is insane. But now, Tottenham, this was maybe about 2 hours, like an hour ago, that Fabrizio said that Tottenham approached Bayer Leverkusen for Piero Hincapie with a new proposal loan deal with obligation to buy for 60 million euros, same value as the release clause, but to be paid from 2026. Hincapie wants to leave Bayer Leverkusen, and Tottenham have already started discussing personal terms. So, and you can see there's already like Arsenal fans in the chat saying like, you know, we have the opportunity to do the funniest thing. And lo and behold, we are doing the funniest thing. Hijacking two of their players in one window would be so funny, and them going in with a loan deal with an obligation just tells me that they don't have the money now. And so if we have the money now, then we could go ahead and get him. Plus, with the Ornstein tweet that I read before, which I'll read again for some of you guys who are just joining, was that he's prioritizing us, which that doesn't surprise me at all. I would gladly take Hincapie, but 60 million is a waste of money for a backup CB. I think that we're going to try to get a little bit lower. Like, remember, 60 million euros is probably about 52 million pounds. And if I'm not mistaken, let me actually look that up. 60 million euros in pounds. Yeah, it's actually crazy how I can do this in my head now after 5 years of converting euros to pounds every single transfer window. I quite literally can do it in my head because it is about 52 million pounds. So 52 million pounds in this market gets you a player of this standard. And I think what we're learning, now is that in order to build a squad that's going to be capable to compete at this level, there are going to be players that don't start that are going to cost us 50 something million. That is kind of like the base fee now for a good player. We're talking about an Ecuadorian international. We're talking about somebody that's played for a Champions League team. I believe he was also a part of the Leverkusen side that won the Bundesliga. So you're no longer going to be paying these 20 and 30 millions for decent players. The price has gone up now. So I get it that it's like, damn, that's a lot of money. But look at what, the Alangas and these guys have costed. Like, look at Hato. I think Hato cost like 35 to 40 million, and he's like 17, 18. This guy's like 23 years old and has Champions League experience. He's going to cost more than what we're used to paying. But it felt so good on Saturday to lose players and be able to bring good players off the bench. And so but that luxury costs you. That luxury costs you. And so I think that updating our expectation for what a good player should cost in 2025 is important, but also recognizing that good players are not going to cost 20 million. We just kind of are where we are, and if Arsenal have it, then I'm not going to complain, because I really don't want to see a Calafiori injury and then watching Miles Lewis-Skelly have to suffer all season because of Zinchenko. I just don't feel like that's what we should be doing. And then also, I do think that, because they were saying that it's dependent on sales, and I think Kiwior is probably the trigger for this. But Zinchenko needs to know that he's not going to stop us from doing anything. And I don't think we should wait to sell Zinchenko to do this deal, like Kiwior and Zinchenko. Let Kiwior go, bring in Hincapie and show with your actions that Zinchenko needs to find somewhere to go. Otherwise, he's not going to be making squads. And I know that that sounds really, really harsh and like really, really like, oh, damn. But no, you've had all summer to look for somewhere to go and you've kind of just sat around. I know that he put out that article about how he felt, not starting, and his daughter knowing that he's not starting, and oh, he's on the bench and all that kind of stuff. And I hear you, and that does sound kind of sad, but at the same time I don't see you desperately looking for a move. And so instead of letting people know basically that they'll stop us from doing what we want to do if they just stick around, because we won't be able to bring players in if they don't go. If we bring players on their head top and then they're not making squads, then they will make it their business to actually go out and find moves. And so unfortunately, I just think we need to bring this player in if Kiwior goes, and then it'll be basically Calafiori, Miles Lewis-Skelly, and this guy ahead of you. You're not making squads, so you can run your deal down and not play for an entire season, or you can go in January if you don't leave in the next 5-6 days. I'm tired of players just sitting around and feeling like they could stop us from bringing players in because they know that we have to sell first. If they know we don't have to sell first, they will start to be more active in forcing their agents to find them new places to go. Because as much as Zinni was chatting, I just felt like, yeah, but how desperate are you to go? It still feels like, you're open to collecting the check, and that's your prerogative, but you're not going to make squads. You're not making squads. Like, hello? Um, let's see. What about the FFP thing? We need to offload players. Honestly, what FFP thing? They've been telling us this entire window that they don't have problems with FFP, because they don't. Because last window, they did not spend. They spent and then they sold, and then from a net spend perspective, we had made about 20 million. We don't have a problem with FFP, so they could probably spend another after we got done with Jokeris, they could have probably spent another 100 million, which it looks like they're about to do without having to sell. But they will sell Kiwior, and they'll probably still sell Fabio Vieira. So we don't have a problem with FFP, which is why it was frustrating when it looked like Arsenal were going to stop spending. It's like, you don't have a problem with FFP. You keep putting out these articles and these puff pieces about how we're so financially stable and all this kind of stuff. Keep spending then. Keep spending. Obviously, don't just spend for spending's sake, but this is not spending for spending's sake. This is ensuring that our season doesn't collapse off of the back of a Calafiori injury, or something like that. So we don't have a FFP problem. They've been telling us that all summer. Get a left back. Calafiori and Mascara can play both center. Anyone doubt Ornstein the GOAT? I think some people have really doubted him this window, if I'm to be honest. I don't think this has been his best window, but I do think that maybe he's been a lot less at the forefront of things. I think because there's been like a lot of Ben Jacobs out there. He's been really good in this window. Obviously, this Indy Kayla guys came out of nowhere. Hand of Arsenal's coming out of nowhere. So maybe Ornstein hasn't been at the forefront, but I think there has been some questions about Ornstein this window. But until further notice, he's still, to me, the most reliable person out there. Damn, Jess, you sound mean. These are guys who have been fighting hard for our team. Let's be gracious while parting with them. I don't know if I've been ungracious, really, because it's not like I've spoken ill of them as people or said that they're bad players. But all I'm saying about Zinchenko is that, he doesn't seem desperate to go. And whether I like him as a person or not, we should still bring in Hincapié regardless if he goes or not. And the only way to show people that they need to find somewhere else to go, because needing somebody to leave the club is not some mean thing. It's not like I want them out on the street with no place to live and no food to eat, because in order for them to leave the club, they will be going somewhere else to sign a new contract. And so I think I kind of get what you're saying, but I don't really feel that bad, because it's like, All I'm really saying is instead of allowing Zinchenko to stop us from bringing somebody in and then inevitably being holding on to Calafiori and his injuries and hoping that they don't get injured so we don't have to run miles into the ground, bring somebody in, and then that will force him to find somewhere else to go because right now he's doing a lot of this, but he's not trying to go. And I don't want my season to be resting on Zinchenko. Sorry. So, yeah, maybe it is harsh, but I haven't, you know, kicked his dog or anything. If we are going for Hincapie, it would probably just means Kiwior is leaving, probably nothing to do with Zinni. I'm just saying that, Arsenal just should not wait. Because I have seen several different things, especially from like Fabrizio Romano, saying that like no official bid yet from Arsenal as deal depends on Kiwior exit and or Zinchenko's future. So that's where the Zinchenko part of it comes in. And so I feel like Arsenal know that this player is the one that they want to get, and they sense that other people are in for him, like Spurs, and I know Chelsea were looking at him as well. And they don't want to wait to see if Zinchenko is going to leave before they do it, which is the right way to do things. Because if you wait for Zinchenko to leave and he doesn't go, then you don't bring this player in, and then you have to hope that everybody stays fit, and they shouldn't do that. Zinchenko has outlasted his time here as a professional. He should think about him doing what he does, that's play football. Harsh mean no one is sympathetic to us when we are at the bare bones due to injuries and our squad has not been good enough to cope. No one handed us a handkerchief and said they're there. No, yeah, no, and I kind of got what he was saying in terms of, oh, like be gracious and all this kind of stuff. But I just feel like anytime you suggest that a player needs to go, some people just hear like, oh, you hate them and you want them to have nothing. And I'm not saying that, like, I just think he needs to find a new club. That's not that bad to say. And Zinchenko, more than anything, it's not so much his level of play. He's still a good player, but he's incredibly injury prone. And so again, the left-hand side, this is all about Arsenal's ambitions and not about the players personally. I'm not saying that I don't like the players personally, but quite frankly, if we leave our season up to Zinchenko and Calafiori's fitness, we're going to run MLS into the ground. And you don't want to do that. So, yeah, I don't really see it doesn't really matter. Zinchenko, whether I like him or not, doesn't really have any bearing on whether I want him here or not. And he's outlived, like somebody said, we've moved beyond him. Like, let's move on. Cal Gunner says the goosebumps meter is reaching critical mass. I mean, if we were to get this done, this would be the best window that we've ever had. We will have upgraded in so many positions. We will have the top end of the pitch, the level raisers are there. We have a big squad with tons of talent, young players coming through as well. The only thing that still needs to get done is Saka and Saliba's contracts. So, yeah, the goosebumps are definitely there. So we're getting another CB and he'll play left back. I mean, he plays left back now. So I think I get it that people are probably tired of the left back, center back thing, but it's what Mikel likes. So until Mikel leaves, I don't see like a overlapping bombing on left back coming in necessarily because he just prefers this versatile, can play center back, can play left back, but he's way more comfortable playing left back than Kiwior is. So as long as he can overlap, it's probably fine. None of these players care about us and how we're doing. What's with all this sentiment? I'm an Arsenal fan and I want the best players in every position possible. If we could get Yamal by Saka, I'm not going too far with that, but I do think that there's an element of, just like unrealistic about certain things. Like you can't just keep Zinchenko around because I don't know, like, you just can't. I just or not bring in a good player because Zinchenko is here, and that's all I'm really suggesting. Like, Zinchenko could stay, but if this guy comes in, he won't be making squads, and that's on him, but we need good defensive depth. All it takes is 2 injuries, and we'll start looking around like, "Oh, shit, do we have enough?" So, yeah, it is what it is. Um, White, Timber, Gabrielle, Calafiori has constant injury concerns. Maybe not Gabrielle, but yes, like the White and Timber and Calafiori, which is why I'm surprised that anybody would be like thinking that this signing is not necessary if Kiwior goes. We are uh, a little, I think, just fatigue from so many defenders, but this is a necessary signing if Kiwior leaves for this exact reason what Karthik is saying. White, Timber, Calafiori. I don't know if I would classify Gabrielle as constant injury concerns, but there's enough there to say that we need to bring someone in if Kiwior goes. The versatility is a good thing. We have an injury-ridden back line. Calafiori, Timber, White all have fitness issues, and Big Gabby is still recovering from his injury, which exactly 100%. We as fans need to get used to the idea of selling our favorite players. Get used to selling our favorite players and not thinking that saying that you want a player to go is equivalent to wanting to kick their dog. Like, it's not that deep. I'm just saying that he doesn't seem desperate to go, and that's fine, but if we bring another player in and you don't play and you're not making squads, that's kind of on you because you've had the entire window to find somewhere to go, and when you had opportunities to go, you didn't wanna, lower your wage in order to make those deals move along, and that's okay, and you can collect the rest of your check at Arsenal, but just know you won't be making squads, and that's the thing, is everything is he is well within his right to stay here and run his deal down because he has a contract with Arsenal Football Club. But we are not required to let our season hang on the balance of his fitness or his quality or his form. So all the relationship is what it is. So I don't think Arsenal should feel bad about bringing somebody in on his head top. I really don't. At Tierney was playing above him at the end of the season last season. Why is he not desperate to go? Like, the reason why he's not desperate to go is probably because his family is comfortable in London. The wage that he's getting is the last wage that he'll get at that level, and he's not concerned about making the Ukrainian side because he's the captain. So he's comfy. 40 million for Kiwior is solid. Hope that's what we get. This is a World Cup year. They come, but once every 4 years. Don't be comfortable staying at Arsenal if there's a chance of you playing week in and week out and make your World Cup squad. But that's what I was just saying. Zinchenko's not concerned about making his World Cup squad. Kiwior probably is, which is why he's like, I need to get out. But Zinchenko's not going to not make the Ukrainian side. He's the captain. He's fine. They don't have. I'm not saying that Ukraine doesn't have talent, but he could not play all season and probably still make it. Like, he probably knows that, and I understand that family comes first as well. If his wife is like, the kids are happy here in London and stuff, then he's gonna run his deal down. But again, we're not required to play you either. So there. Um, let's see. He was on 20K a week before coming to us. He is entitled to getting his pay now. I would not pay to play somewhere else. Kiwior is Polish, right? I'm not sure Poland will qualify for the World Cup. That's fair enough. Martinelli needs to go next. I don't know if Martinelli will go. This is a big week. If it's going to happen, it's got to happen now. Arsenal trying to buy the league. My question is, what took us so long? Well, I mean, listen, I just we've had windows where we spent quite a bit under Mikel, but I just feel like this one feels different probably because the sporting director is different, to be honest, and I think also there's a distinct kind of acceptance of the negligence that was last summer, and they need to repair that on top of doing the job that they were meant to do last summer. And they probably, I mean, we all looked at it this way, and I can't say that I would be surprised if Arsenal didn't look at it this way, but what a fumble last summer was, and what a fumble last season was. Had we had been even at the slightest bit competent, we would have won the league. It was what we had been waiting on. We had been waiting on City to fall off and have a bad season, and it happened, and we also fell off in the same season, and Liverpool, a team that nobody had on their radar for the title, walked the league while we could barely creep over at the last hurdle. Like, I just feel like as a club, we needed to look at that moment and, you know, figure out how we got to this place where we're probably the best team that's never won the league, right? And so I think there's probably an element of needing to fix that. Again, fixing the damage that happened off of the back of having way too small squad after the Euros and basically being in terms of our players, playing them into the ground and playing them into this injury-ridden state that they're in now, but also making sure that they do the assignment that they were meant to do last summer, which was bring in a striker and a winger. So we did all of that. And then I just think the sporting director makes a huge difference. I can't say it conclusively what Edu was and was not doing wrong. But do I think he could have executed the same window? No, because he had that opportunity in the 23-24 window. And he just about got Declan Rice and Kai Havertz and Raya and Timber, and as good as that window looks now, when you look at the window that we've done to this point, it does look funny in the light. We could have done more. We could have done so much more. Um, so I think what took so long, maybe it was staring multiple opportunities to win the league in the face and feeling some type of way about it, but also having a different sporting director, I just feel like makes a big difference. Um, so yeah, Jess, are you in the no excuses camp or do we still need additions? Right now we have a team good enough to win the big trophies, so I'm kind of in the no excuses camp right now. There's obviously more that we could do. There's always more that you could do. There's always more that you could do, but there was no way that we could go through this window without two level raisers in the starting 11 in attack without like feeling like we haven't done the job. So we've done that now. So yeah, I feel like we're in it. We're in there. People got to get used to having 14, 15 serviceable players now that people got used to us having 14, 15 serviceable players. Now that we actually have quality depth, people get confused. And it feel like it's learning curve, but it's also, a little bit of I think there's maybe some people that because that's what the club were doing, they tried to convince themselves and others that that made sense instead of just being honest. Like it never made sense to have that thin of a squad. It never made sense to have, like you said, 14, 15 serviceable players throughout the season and try to compete with teams like Liverpool and City. We were doing a lot with a little, which was admirable early on, but then it just became negligent as you saw that it was like, all right, we should be winning now. Why do we only have 13 players that we can rely upon? And so, I think that the club is, and maybe Berta has come in and said, this squad is just nowhere near big enough to do what we want to do. And Arteta's like, finally, somebody understands what I'm saying. And they've been able to convince the Cronkies. But the signing like Piero Hincapié coming in for Kiwior to play I won't even call it a squad role, but somebody that is going to beef up the squad is exactly what we should be doing. And it feels good to know that we're not looking to just go with what we have because what we have at left back looks a little weak without Kiwior. Let's see. Remember when some of the fan base were complaining Berta wasn't moving fast enough? Listen, there was a part of the window, maybe the first 2 weeks, where I was like, all right, Berta, what the fuck is going on? But once we started, I think it was like Sesko, we started moving on. And then, or we knew Sesko was the person that we were moving on and we were getting Kepa and stuff. I was like, all right, we're moving. Clearly things are happening. But I think that, you know, Berta is somebody that we can look at and say has been an upgrade, and so we can be excited about that because it's his first window. Let's see what he's like with 2 or 3 windows under his belt. Basically, we finally have competent depth. We're building a dynasty. Jesus is back to fitness. Let's hope skill is back up. What about a left winger? Will we have any funds left for one? I mean, somebody will have to go for sure. It'll probably have to be Martinelli. So let's see. I think we'll know so much in the next couple of days because, you know, obviously the window ends next week. So if he doesn't go early on in this week, then probably nothing is going to happen there. And I could see a world where Arteta was resting him for Anfield anyway, um, to play as defensive winger against Salah to help Calafiori potentially. So we'll see, but I could see the attacking signings being over from now. So yeah. I've been saying this for a few days now. West Ham take Nelson, Kiwior, and Zinni. They offset their transfer fees against what we owe for Rice, and then they pay the difference. We use that to strengthen. I mean, I understood when we had Mustafi and players like that, but I genuinely do not understand why Premier League sides do not buy our dead wood. I get that in the past it hasn't been the best dead wood, but you see what our dead wood could get you. Fulham, basically salvaged, their game against Man United with our dead wood. It's not like your players are that good. You could use some of our players. You could use Zinni. You use a Fabio Vieira, you know, but Premier League teams don't seem that interested in our dead wood, which is unfortunate. It's the salaries, which is a really good point. Kiwior is not deadwood, respectfully. Deadwood, no, he's not deadwood. And I said Zinchenko and Fabio Vieira. Kiwior is not deadwood, but I did not add him in that. Anyway, wages is the problem. ESR was on 40 and Zinni is on 150. But yeah, this is pretty much where we're at. I don't know because Ben Jacobs had said that we're gonna put in a bid, and I'm like, we're moving. I think they do not want to lose this player waiting for anything. Breaking Arsenal set to bid for Piero Hincapie, who favors a move to the Emirates over Spurs. He knew that line was going to eat down. Ben Jacobs is a little, he's got a little, he knows what to say to spice it up. And I like that. He favors a move to the Emirates over Spurs. Hincapié has a 60 million euro clause. Jakub Kiwior's potential move to Porto has led AFC to work on Hincapié. I love it. I love it. Does anybody know anything about Hincapié in the chat? I would love to know. I'll look up some stats and stuff now. But ultimately, you guys know I don't watch the Bundesliga. I can't bring myself to do it. The only time I watched Leverkusen was a couple seasons ago when they were obviously winning the league, but I think the other guy played. I can't even remember that child's name. We were linked to him. He went to them on a free from like Portugal. I forget what his name is. He's Spanish, but I think he was playing at the time, not Hincapie. So if anybody has any intel on him, I would love to know. He looks like I say this in the kindest way possible. He looks like a South American defender. Take from that what you wish. But he looks like a South American defender. He's gonna lay it on you. Like I feel like that's real, There's always a Ben Matson tweet. Really surprised no one has gone for Piero Hincapie yet. Seemingly not a starter recently, so could be available. Very athletic, physical, quick ball playing left center back, left back, perfect for left back, left center back hybrid role for teams like Liverpool, Arsenal, and Chelsea. Can see him at Juve too. I mean, there's always a Ben Madsen tweet, isn't there? But yeah, he's a South American defender down, if you know what I mean. Lots of crunching tackles, but the description there of physical, quick, athletic, those are important to me because I feel like our athleticism at the back is what sets us apart from so many other teams. As we saw with City, they lack athleticism and a bit of physicality, even at the back. And it was a tough watch against Spurs. Now, I know you don't want to just be thugs, right? But I feel like he's probably good enough on the ball where he's probably, more than good enough to play at the back for us. Um, and so I want to obviously I'll do some more research, but this is a Champions League level, you know, player. So he's good. Um, and a Bundesliga winning side. That's all I'm saying. Kiwior is improved. I would keep. Berta said he never loses in a transfer market. Waiting to see how Hato does at Chelsea. That was supposed to be our guy. Spurs probably want him as a backup to Romero. I am shocked we are still buying players, but plays left back. He is quite aggressive and pushes out. You think Big Gabby's injury is more serious than we thought because this is a serious signing? No, I just think that we're not being dumb anymore. And I don't think it's about Gabrielle at all. Essentially Gabrielle is pretty much covered. We have Calafiori and Mascara. This is about left back. To me, this signing is about left back and ensuring that, again, our season is not hanging off of it's not reliant on Calafiori and Zinchenko maintaining their fitness, so we don't have to run an 18-year-old into the ground like we did last season. I don't think they want a repeat of what happened with Miles. And Miles did so well, but he should have never had to play as much as he did. So I think this is just about lifting the levels. And if you're going to get rid of Kiwior, who's a really good, solid backup, why go out there and bring somebody in that's lesser than him? You want to get as good, if not better. And that's essentially what this is. So, because Kiwior is a good player. So you really don't want to be bringing in somebody that's not at the same level, if not better, right? It makes more sense. So I think this just has to do with left back. I know that he's a left center back, kind of player, but he'll most likely play left back for us, more likely like Timber. So, yeah, and this will protect Calafiori as well, which I think that is precious cargo. Like Calafiori, just like MLS, is precious cargo for us. They're two young players for us. Obviously, Miles is a little bit younger, but they're both young players that have incredible capabilities and have a future with us. And so we can't afford to, one, run Miles into the ground at his young age and not look at Calafiori and kind of manage him. So this is all about, I feel like, protecting the players that are in that left back position and also making sure that we don't get to a place where we have to play maybe like Zinchenko in important games. We will be able to rotate without dropping the levels. Exactly. Kala is the man for me. Jess, I told you yesterday that Ornstein Bamba is coming. You did say that. And late last night, I started seeing Hincapié rumors. And I was like, yeah, Kiwior is gone. But I did not expect to be up at 2:00 in the morning doing this. But Berta is introducing me to a vibe and I'm loving every minute of it. Let's look at some FB ref real quick while we're at it. The prefers Arsenal over Spurs is sending me It's so funny. They just know what to say. That hurts so bad to hear, I imagine, from a Spurs, from a Spurs perspective, but whatever. So he's left-footed, obviously. He's about 6 foot tall. He is a Capricorn, just like I. Um, Capology is saying he's earning about 72,000 euros, 72,000 euros a week, but we don't know for sure. Obviously plays in the Bundesliga, um, Ecuadorian international, and lots of green bars for a center back, but we'll do the full back because that's probably where he's going to be playing for us. So, um, lots of passes attempted, 94th percentile for passes. So he's very involved in whatever Bayer Leverkusen are doing on the ball. His pass completion is high if you care about those things. Lots of progressive passes in the 81st percentile for that. Almost 5 progressive passes per game, which is really, really good. And then obviously there's none of this stuff here. He's not somebody that's probably going to carry and all that kind of stuff, but he's defending the fuck out of shit. Like he is defending. The interceptions are good. The blocks, the clearances, the aerials won, which is good because I'm not trying to lose that best defense. I'm not trying to lose that. These are the people that he's similar to: Benzabaini, Cucurella, Gavardiol, Ben, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we want somebody that's comfortable on the ball, which it seems like he might just be comfortable on the ball. We don't know for sure, but maybe. And he's a good defender, which we want, don't we? So if like I said, if anybody has a deeper insight into Hincapié, maybe you watch him in the Bundesliga, maybe you watch him for Ecuador. I would love any sort of like insight. If you have it, put it in the chat. But I don't have much more than stats really because yeah, I don't watch him. So we're finally flexing like a big club we are. Uh oh God, Stuttgart have moved on to other targets after not being able to reach an agreement for Fabio Vieira. Listen, uh, listen. Do you understand that what I wanted from this window was for us to be greedy just for once and to have people asking, why do they need them? Where are they going to play? How do they have the money? The comments under the Hincapie signing were just that, especially from Chelsea fans who I know that like if they're pocket watching, they're worried. Oh man, that's all I really wanted from the window. That's it. I was like, if people are acting, they're like Arsenal are being greedy. Yeah, let's go. Just sell him and get whatever we can get. I really wanted Dean Huijsen to sign for Arsenal. He's really, really good. Why aren't we talking about the women anymore? Answer: we only talk about the women when the men aren't doing what they need to. Facts. Well, I talk about the women all the time, so that's not me. But some people obviously were using the women as a stick to beat the men, but that could never be me. Like the Arsenal women are my baby, and a big reason why I don't do content on the women is because I don't want them to become a job, because they're just too precious for me. We're finally flexing like a big club. Do you think Saliba won't renew his contract with all these defensive signings? I do think he'll renew. Need Spurs to be linked with Fofana so we can hijack. Listen, that's the only thing that would make the window better for me. Honestly, I know that people are still interested in Rodrigo, and like in theory, I would still take him because I rate him as a player, but I just think that the mentality is not there. Not that I'm saying that leaving Real Madrid is an easy thing to do, but I'm just like, at a certain point, you got to go where you're wanted. And I don't think you're wanted there at all in any way, shape, or form. His remonstrating yesterday, he was, what do you guys call it? Throwing a strop? I don't know if that's the word, but strop, throwing a strop, doing a strop, stropping. I don't know. But he had a little like moment on the sideline again, when they played Oviedo yesterday, and I'm just like, "Bruh, I know that maybe it's hard to come to the realization that your career at a certain place is kind of over, but, you know, it's just a reality. You're 24, it's a World Cup year, pull your panties up, get going." I don't know, like, it's rough, but if I had to choose right now who I would want to come in and play left wing for Arsenal if we were to get rid of Martinelli, it would be Malik Fofana. That's who I want, so, um, he's not Rodrigo, but he's also not Rodrigo. Need Spurs to be linked to Fofana. At this point, I won't be surprised if we go for Rodrigo on deadline day. Tell me tell me his sign, Jess. Yes, that's all that matters, his favorite color. Listen, being a Capricorn is cool. Don't hate on us. Like, listen, we are the sign. Rodrigo has poor mentality. Bun him. I'm not gonna lie. Bun him or whatever, bun whatever is so funny. You guys ate that. Like you really did. Like bun him is funny. Objectively. Um, Somebody said hand of Arsenal. Did he say something? Hand of Arsenal update. Well, let's go check. Let it all out. Let it all out. Let it all out. Let it all work out. Beautiful. Piero Hincapie has requested Leverkusen to negotiate reasonably with Andrea Berta. Arsenal, the defender, is fully sold on the project. Arsenal have serious interest in Hincapie. The player has already spoken to Arteta. Depends on sales, but a deal is to be done. Yeah, I guess the defend on sales is probably has to do with Kiwior going, which is going to happen for sure. My mom was a Capricorn, lived to 96, nicknamed the assassin. Oh, well, yeah, Capricorns are the best, and I'd love to hear about any Capricorns because I feel like we're the best sign. If you know, you know. If you've known a Capricorn in your life, you know we're hard to get through and we have hard exterior, but we're just sweetie pies in the end of the day. Hand of Arsenal woke up after Eze. He knows things are happening. Aries is king. Okay, not too much. Yes, Hand of Arsenal. Odds have swung big to Rodrigo staying. And do you, baby? Because I got my eyes set on Malik Fofana. Um, I've moved on. I've moved on, just like you should have done. Rodrigo just started yesterday. He ain't joining anyone. We need more Geminis. No, I'm just joking. Um, we need to win something before Saliba leaves. He may renew, but I feel for a shorter period of time since Real Madrid is calling. I mean, we need to be winning like today. You know, winning something soon, winning something already, like today, tomorrow, this season. This is the season to win stuff. I think the signs are there that even though our rivals are really strong and they've improved, they haven't improved so much that we're like way out of the picture, especially now that we brought Eze in. So this is it. We need to try to win the Prem and the Champions League, in a domestic cup or something. This is it. Arsenal need to come up with silverware for sure. Andrea Berta is from the Sopranos school of negotiating deals. He's done really well in this first window for sure. We win today, we lose by April. Okay. How do we know Hand of Arsenal is a he? We don't know, but I'm assuming because everybody assumes and they don't correct. So I think Hand of Arsenal is a guy. He's giving man energy. I'm curious about how we're gonna sell our players like Zinni and Kiwi. I mean, Kiwior is basically on his way to Porto, so you don't need to really worry about, that's pretty much what has triggered this whole Hincapie thing is Kiwior going to Porto, and that being something that's in the works right now. So, yeah. The rivals are scared because they are saying we must to add more pressure. I mean, we must for sure, but we must one before the window even opened. So all this we must means nothing to me because it's like we must. You know what I mean? The pressure is on, but this is probably the first time that you know, I felt good about where we're at with the squad. Uh, we lose games in December and lose the league by April. All right, negative Nelly. We must, yeah, but why do they care? Because listen, the reason why I know that rivals are rattled is because I feel the same way when they start doing good. So, like, as somebody that is like okay with being honest about being rattled about certain things, if I see like a rival doing well, I start to get rattled. I watch their games and all I can see is the times where the opposition should have scored. Why are they not scoring their chances? Downplaying everything that they're doing, saying it's luck, saying that, they're just getting lucky and, things are just falling in their favor, but it'll fall apart. But inside, I am so scared. I am nervous that it's all going to go well for them, right? So I think just like when I just know that that's how rivals are feeling right now because you look at the Arsenal squad, like this week was just too much for them to do. Before, when we just had Gyökeres and we had bought Madueke, they were comfortable. They were like, that's just not enough for Arsenal to do anything. And, we didn't look great against Man United. And so they were like, cool, we're comfortable. They'll probably finish third or fourth. But just imagine being a rival, watching Arsenal come in at the like last minute, hijack Eze, a player that everybody rates, so they can't even pretend like he's a bum or anything, snatch him, then turn around and beat Leeds 5-0 and Gyökeres score a brace because they were also hoping that he was going to flop. And now waking up on Monday and seeing that we're hijacking Spurs again for a really good defender. Would you not be panicking? Because I would. Because I'm honest about my shit. I'm like, oh no, I don't want them to win. Yeah, I'm panicking. So yeah. And Cuckoo is a Capricorn. And who else is a Capricorn? Declan Rice is a Capricorn. I think he's like either January 6th or January 4th. Mason Mount is a Capricorn. We have the same birthday. There's a lot of Capricorns out there. This upcoming Liverpool game is really starting to feel like a cup final. It's gonna be a Royal Rumble for sure. I feel like because we're going there for the first time, even without Saka, maybe even without Odegaard, and we still feel like we can get something. When's the last time that's happened? I think we're going on something big at the end of the transfer window. Rodrigo, let's see, Andrea Berta carries a Beretta on him. I'm lying. I just want to push my Nkunku agenda. I don't get the Nkunku agenda. You're so like, Arsenal need to do this, Arsenal need to do that, but then you're coming up with Nkunku. You're so like, you're a mystery. You're a mystery because somebody that wants Arsenal to do so well and wants them to do the right things in the transfer market, advocating for Nkunku, those two things don't go together. Burmy says this window reflects a healthy balance of level raisers, Zubi, Glock, Eze, and strengthening squad depth. The other new signings, Berta deserves an award. This is the best window we've had in the Emirates era for sure. So, yeah. Let's see. We were poor in the first half, then win 5-0, better to come, which I kind of think is a good sign because I still kind of feel like you don't want to be at your best in September. I feel like if you're the best you're going to be in September, you're definitely due for a drop off in the business end. But if you're winning 5-0 and going away to Old Trafford, playing not your best, but you come out with 6 points and clean sheets, then you could only say better to come, you know? So I think it's a good thing to a certain extent, if that makes sense. 60 million euros for Hincapie. Are these guys high? Who do they think they got? Chelsea Clinton? No, I think that's his release clause, but we'll definitely be trying to negotiate below that for sure. We're not going to pay 60 million, but 60 million euros is also 52 million pounds. Talks are very advanced between Arsenal and Leverkusen for Piero Hincapie. The Ecuador international prioritizes Arsenal. Deal still depends on outgoing on the Gunner side. Yeah. Yeah. The fact that we don't even have the exit done, but we're trying to get this done is perfect. You know, but do this and then force Zinni out, you know, or tell him he's not gonna make squads. It's just that deep. See what I mean? Isn't this a Chelsea fan? How many left-sided defenders does one club need? How about you worry about yourself? You know, worry about Chelsea, you know, Chelsea, Chelsea, Chelsea. I guess this is this is not how I would do the lineups. I feel like whenever I look at somebody else's lineups, I'm like, I could have probably done this better because this isn't right. But this is essentially what we're looking at, I guess. But yeah, where's Kala? Okay, Kala's on the first one. Can you guys see that, or am I just bugging out? Okay. So yeah, this is like the starting 11 kind of thing. And then this would be like the backup kind of situation. So yeah. Now for me personally, I'm starting to give Miles Lewis Skelly minutes in midfield. You buy Hincapie, I'm starting to give Lewis Skelly minutes in midfield. And I'm starting to phase Marino out. I love Marino, good guy, love his goals, but he would be moved into this backup striker position where Havertz is because he's out for a long time. Move Marino into this backup center forward position. Miles Lewis Skelly is getting minutes at left center mid. Hincapie is playing left back, and Calafiori is the backup left-sided center back. That's the only thing I would change just based on actual injuries that we have right now. But it doesn't even have Dauman in it. Yeah, this is nasty work from Berta. I love it. Jesus is training as well. So, you know, if you care about those types of things, Marino can be a backup striker until Kai and Jesus come back. Exactly. There's so much that we can do now. And you guys are, and there's Gabby Jesus. It's like, you know what? One thing I will always rate about somebody is if they truly rate somebody, no matter what's going on, always being excited about them being back, always backing their corner. I actually rate that so highly because even if I'm like, Jesus needs to be sold, like, let's be serious. I actually respect somebody that's like, no, he's one of the best players in the world. What do you mean? Like, to me, that's so much more valid than flip-flopping on players constantly. So regardless of how I feel about Jesus, I actually rate people that are like that because I'm like, at least you stand for something. If you know, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. I think that's why Marino didn't play the other day. He was being reserved for the LFC game for me. So we're on the same page. I think Marino and Martinelli didn't play against Leeds because they're going to start against Liverpool, and Marino will start at striker or play minutes at striker, and Martinelli will start on the left. So, so you rate DG standing for Martinelli? Yeah, I do. Even though I think he's wrong for still thinking that he has a place or something at the club, I respect people that actually rate players, and even when they, go down in form or whatever, they kind of go down with the ship rather than just whenever a player's in form jumping on the bandwagon, and then when they're out of form you're, oh, fuck them, I don't want them in the team anymore, oh, get rid, it's like, but last week you loved it. Or you'll see somebody that's like, let's say, talk shit about Calafiori because of his injuries, but then when he scores against, City or, whoever, Man United, and starts playing well, then they're on streams with rivals talk about Calafiori did this to you, Calafiori did, but it's like, hold on now. You don't even like Calafiori. I just feel like, yeah, stand for something or fall for anything. Marino's goal conversion rate is actually really good. You will eat your words about Jesus. You say, how could I have been so stupid to want him out? All of you, you know who you are. I am one of them. I am one of them. But if it's gonna be any game, like if there's, it would be nice for us to win something with Jesus in the team this season. I will say that, because even if I think that he's kind of done at the club, I think he raised the level so much in that one season that I would be sad if he didn't really win anything with us, because he's he's done well, he's done well for us in that one season. And then even in his little spurts coming back, you can see that the quality is still there. He's just injury prone. That's really all it is. If he was not injury prone, he would still be starting for this club. Like, he's too good of a player not to be playing significant minutes. It's just the injuries. 100%. But yeah, this is a really good side, a really good side with lots of depth. Um, yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. Jesus' third goal versus United. Jesus changed my life. I feel like my favorite Jesus goal, I have two. Um, one of them was the goal that he scored against Leicester. Um, the first one. And then my second favorite is the goal that he scored against Sevilla away from home. Jesus coming off of the left-hand side is one of the best players in the world, for sure. After this injury, he will not have another. Now he's fixed both knees. Yeah, his first goal for us was wild. It was just a crazy goal. I still don't think we've seen a player come in and make an impact like that, not even just from a result standpoint, but just like the overall caliber and quality of football since Alexis. But Eze is probably going to have the same reaction. I think Eze is going to have the same impact that Jesus did in 22-23, because they're kind of both like box office type players. Eze to me has probably more of a goal threat, but the flair and all of that is there. I know some people are dying to see Jesus, Eze, and Saka start in a front three together. So maybe we'll see, that happen at some stage. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Jesus win a trophy with us before he goes. He's done so much. I kind of hate that you guys can see what I'm into, but you guys know I'm into Love Island, so there's no shame in my game, I guess. Let me save this. Let's see. Arsenal interested in Bayer Leverkusen Piero Hincapié. Gunners keen on a left-sided defender before the window closes. Hincapié monitored extensively by AFC recruitment team. And what's his name Berta wanted him at Atletico. Look at these losers. They're already underneath. Very, very mid player. Well, then why did you want him? Tottenham fans just need to sit back. Just sit back. Victor Gyökeres is leagues better as an out-and-out striker reality. In terms of, Jesus versus Gyökeres, I don't feel like there's much of a comparison because they're two completely different players. But like, if there was a world where Jesus was injury free, I don't actually think there would be a better center forward kind of depth or group of strikers that we could have better than a fit Jesus and a Gyökeres. I actually think that would be the best, like, complement of strikers that you could have because they genuinely could play together. They could play instead of each other, and they give two completely different outlooks on how to score goals. If in the first season in 22-23 we had Gyökeres instead of Eddie Nketiah, we probably would have won something. So, yeah, they're two completely different things, really. But Jesus was like he was. I don't want to rewrite history because as much as I think that he's done and will leave at the end of the season, I would never say that I don't think that he's a top quality player. I can't believe you are up at 7 a.m. in NYC. It must be 4 a.m. on the West Coast. It is. And the only reason why I'm awake is because Beckham decided that he wanted a treat at 2:30 in the morning. That's the only reason why I'm awake. That's it. I thought he just needed to use the restroom, but no. He went to the out. He got his breakfast early and was still sitting in the kitchen whining because he wanted a treat. I have created a monster. Genuinely, that dog is so spoiled. Like, Ben's is spoiled, but Bex is he's rotten. That crazy lob from just inside the box surrounded by like 10 players, that was insane. His best goal, Sevilla, was second, yes. But what I liked most was that pass for Nelly against Sevilla, Maradona. Not too much, but yes. His game against Sevilla just showed like, and Jesus is somebody I feel like what we missed from Jesus probably the most is what he does in Europe. And maybe if he can get fit enough, he's somebody that we can utilize in Europe because we haven't even got to see Europe Jesus, which I feel like is the best version of him, but he's just been injured so much that we haven't really been able to see it. Jesus was playing so well before his most recent injury. It was genuinely heartbreaking to see him get the ACL when he was playing so well. Any updates on Saka's injury? They said up to 4 weeks. So up to 4 weeks, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 3 weeks, but essentially a month, and we know there's an international break in there, but there's a chance that he'll definitely miss Anfield. He might miss Man City as well, maybe get back for Newcastle. So Madueke, get your boots on. Jesus has the ability to sit down opposing players so easy. Jesus as a depth piece would be so insane. Yeah, for sure. I would never say that Jesus is not a top quality player. It's just the injuries. Like, I don't really like conflating injuries with quality because we know that he's a quality player, but at some point you do just become injuries. So but yeah, see, SV's thinking the same thing as me. MLS midfield shifts soon. It's time to start giving him some minutes in midfield. MLS is that's a midfielder, you know. Um, let's see. Yeah, understand Stuttgart have now moved on to other targets after being unable to come to an agreement over Vieira. Arsenal need to find suitors and fast before the end of the week to fund more incomings. He's so hard to move on. Some of these players are so hard to move on. It's just so crazy to me. But, yuck. Somebody come get him. It's pissing me off now. But, we've still gotten in our incoming, so yeah, it is what it is. And I think Kiwior just has to go for us to get Hincapie, but my goodness, it's so hard for us to move on some of these guys. Let's see. I'm just making sure we haven't missed anything. I think we've pretty much got everything, guys. Oh, this is nasty. Do you see how nasty this is? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I kind of am like a sicko, just kind of like Arteta. Like, of course I want the attacking talent, don't get me wrong. But something about this is just so rude and disrespectful. And I love it. You shall not pass. Like, this is nasty work, genuinely. If this ends up being our defensive depth, oof, nobody has better. Nobody has better. Like, let's be real. No way we buy more without selling players that don't add up. Gotta win something, but we're pushing Man City type depth throughout the team. That second comment though, let me see. Arsenal collecting defenders like Pokemon cards while their attack still plays like dial-up internet. Listen, that was the case. Like, this is why rivals are going crazy though. I feel like, of course, we have a great defense and and the joke has always been, yeah, they're buying defenders, but their attack is shit. We literally have Eze and Gyökeres in the team now. We also have like two of the best England prospects coming through. We have Saka. It's over. The attack is shit thing. It's gone. Like it's not really there anymore. So make your little jokes, but genuinely, it's not the same. Stand for something or fall for anything, and you working with two left feet in the skating rink. We miss Mustafi, serious squad. That is crazy that all 8 players start for 90% of the league. I know Liverpool fans are rattled because they are mad we took a song about a player they wanted out. It's just weird. Like, they took the Chiesa song. You guys don't even like Chiesa. You don't even like Chiesa. That is crazy. We have 3 of the top 5 biggest chance creators. This is what I'm saying. I'm like, I get it that, the thing about and honestly, 1 or 2 players can change the fortunes of a team and or an attack. Um, um, like once you upgrade that starting left wing and the starting striker, the whole conversation about our attack changes. And that's why people were panicking. That's why when they were so mad at Spurs for not getting Eze over the line, because as much as they're still, oh, you guys are shit, we're not. We're not. Timber and Calafiori engines will help us beat Liverpool, although I predict a draw. It's going to be a tough game. I'm actually predicting a draw right now as well, but I would take a draw away from home right now, especially with the injuries. But, I want to see us go for it. That's for sure. But yeah, they're rattled, they're rattled for sure. You think Martinelli wants out? I don't think Martinelli wants out. I think that the walls are closing in on him, though. Like, I don't think he wants out. But listen, there's every chance in the world that we see the lineup at Anfield and he's starting because of his defensive work rate to help Calafiori. Every chance that happens. And he was rested against Leeds. Him and Marino not playing, but being such big parts of Arteta's setup, so, even in preseason and also last season, makes me a little bit, it gives me pause to like say that them not playing against Leeds means something for an exit. It could, but in Martinelli's case, but it could just be the case that Arteta's managing the squad and he's like, all right, I can play Gyökeres against Leeds, flat track bully, beat them down, give Madueke the minutes, rotate, all that kind of stuff. But when it gets down to it, when we go away from at Anfield, I'm going to play Marino up front because I would have played Kai, but now I need to put Marino up there and I'm going to play Martinelli. If he does that, I'm going to look at him sideways, but that is something Arteta would do. So Martinelli will play at Liverpool. Liverpool fans are saying we're greedy because they wanted Hincapié. Same guys who are on their knees for Isak. Are you guys not getting Gahey? Like, have you not bought a number 10 for like 120 something million euros or some shit like that? You Ekitike was like almost 90 something million, was he not? You've spent. You spent money on Frimpong. You spent money on Kirkes. You're still gonna get Gahey. You got a goalkeeper. What the fuck? Like, everybody is spent. I'm not trying to see all the pocket watching. Everyone is spent. Everyone has spent. Everyone is spent. I think Marino will be subbed on at Anfield. He's definitely gonna play a part up front. That my gut is telling me that for sure. Gyökeres will get more space against LFC. He will do well. A Jesus Gyökeres center, second striker, center forward combination like Sturridge Suarez would work. Frimpong is injured, but they still bought him. They spent. Liverpool spent at the beginning of the window when we weren't doing anything. Liverpool spent so much money. So I'm not trying to hear it. And they're still going to probably try to put in a bid of 100 and something million for Isak. I'm not trying to hear it. Man United spent 200 million on a new front line. I'm not trying to hear it. Yes, we spent, but so did you. So if Kiwior is leaving, then Kala is the replacement and the link player is a new left back. Exactly. But Kala will still play left back at times, but I think in order to protect Kala too, you need to have somebody that can play left back. Because the more he's running up and down the sideline, the more likely he is to exacerbate any, injuries or whatever. So it's all about protecting the players that we have. And I think you do need to bringing in Mascara protects Saliba and Gabriel. Bringing in Hincapie is going to protect MLS and Cala. And you need to protect those two because to me, Calafiori and MLS give you qualities that we just don't have in the team anywhere else. And so without that, we're going to look funny. So yeah, you need to protect both of them. Hincapié is going to be a cold left back. We're signing a demon. Man United's front line hasn't scored a goal yet. Is that so? Is that so, Wayne? Waylon? Genuinely, the meltdowns yesterday from like Saeed and them were so funny. All I have to say is, and I tweeted this yesterday. I know this is kind of off topic, but any system that doesn't prioritize Diallo and Kabi Menu needs to be thrown in the trash because I don't think Amad Diallo is like the best player I've ever seen in my life, but he's genuinely one of United's best players. And Kabi Menu is definitely one of their best players and probably their best midfielder. And for Kabi Menu not to even be in the squad or in the 11 and to not come on is crazy. And Amad Diallo to be doing fullback shifts is insane. Genuinely. Like, I'm not a manager, but if I was Amorim, I would just play Cunha on the left and I'd play Mbumo on the in the 9 and Amad Diallo on the right and Kabi Menu in midfield somewhere. Like Mount in the 10, Kabi in the double pivot next to Casemiro and drop Bruno Fernandes. I know that he's their captain and stuff, but he's genuinely holding them back. And I just do not see how they're not absolutely losing their heads because Kabi Menu, I talk shit because he's a Man United player, but I cannot describe how idiotic you have to be as a manager to not prioritize your best midfielder. This is somebody who was starting for England in the Euros and now can't get a game in a shit United side because of your raggedy system that no good teams play that system. No good teams play that system. That system is shit. And it doesn't function well. What? Like, I've never seen anything so stupid. And obviously I'm loving it because I'm an Arsenal fan. I don't give a fuck, really. But if I was a United fan, I'd be absolutely furious if our best, first of all, academy player, good academy player, best midfielder, can't get a game, and you're playing Ugarte and Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes in deeper positions? Are you high? Like, he's not gonna make it to Christmas. Caleb says, Jess, are we back? Will we win major trophies this year? I mean, we can. We definitely can win major trophies. So yeah, I think there's with Eze, that's how important the Eze signing is, because it goes from everything has to be perfect in order for us to win something, and we're still not, maybe as potent as we want to be in forward positions and all that, to damn, we could really win something. That's how important that Eze signing was. So I do think we could win something, but it's all up to what we do on the pitch. We can. Of course we can. Um, just give me a win at Anfield from a set piece and watch the world crumble. Oh my gosh, they wouldn't survive it. They wouldn't survive it. Uh, Arsenal say that the Hincapié deal is not dependent on having to make sales first, as they are now in talks with Leverkusen about the deal. Yeah, I don't think we have to sell first. I think the fact that we're already talking to Leverkusen is because we know Kiwior is going to go. And also we want to make sure that nobody else can get him first, that's how big teams operate. They buy first and then they sell after, but if you're not confident in your ability to sell, you'll never be able to get the jump on people. You always have to wait. This might be the first 10 out of 10 window since I started supporting Arsenal in an alternate timeline. We didn't sign Gyökeres, Madueke, Eze, are still chasing Isak with a week left of the transfer window, with Newcastle demanding 170 million as Havertz is out for a while. Yeah, that's the alternate timeline with Edu for sure. We would have still been chasing Isak. He would have been lying. He'd be trying to jam Kia clients in the door. Like, no, absolutely not. So, I'm glad that whatever happened for Berta to come in, I'm glad that that's happened. Edu's timeline for sure. Do you feel Eze will start? I kind of did at first, but now I'm starting to second guess myself a little bit. Maybe not. Start on the bench. Like right now, because at first I was like, oh, we're definitely going to start Eze, Gyökeres, and Madueke. But now I think it might be Madueke, Gyökeres, and Martinelli. And then Eze coming on. If Odegaard misses the game, I think it's gonna be a big call to make. Personally, I think you need to start Ethan. I don't see how you can make a big song and dance of him being Odegaard's backup and then at the first sign do something different. But we shall see. We shall see. Holding my breath, hope this happens. It brings a perfect balance in defensive depth. Arteta deserves criticism for lacking winning trophies, but Amorim, who has more experience as how they play good against us. Amorim and Arteta situations are very distinctly different. So, I hear your point. Arteta aside for a minute, Amorim is just I just do not first of all, the you have to compare Spurs to Man United, because I feel like their situations are actually more aligned than maybe people think they are. They both went into that Europa League final needing Champions League football after what I would call two of the worst seasons that you could have possibly had as a top 6 team. Nobody, I feel like they didn't get half of the smoke we would have gotten if we would have finished 16th, 17th, 15th, whatever it was. But they both went into that Europa League final needing to win it, and with huge speculation around their managers. Spurs won it, sacked Ange, and brought in Thomas Frank, a superior manager, and have seen instant progress, even without major signings, outside of Kudus, really, and Paulinia. United, in the same exact situation, kept Amorim, kept him, backed him more than Thomas Frank has been backed, and he still can't win a game. You don't need to keep every single manager. Arteta is the he's the exception, he's not the rule. You know, this whole keeping a manager just because you wanna give him time. Amorim is especially because you brought in a manager that plays a system that doesn't prioritize your better players and plays a back three. I know they're kicking themselves. I know they're kicking themselves. I know it. Um, I feel this season Arteta is done playing games. He's going for the head. Yeah, but what phase is Frank on? Start Eze and Martinelli and on the wings. Amorim should join a comedy club, 7 wins from 29. Arsenal say that the deal for I think I read that already. What do you think the result of the Liverpool game will be? Right now, I'm thinking a draw. But let's see. But listen, you guys, let's go ahead and get out of here. I know there's 1,600 of you guys watching on multiple platforms, which I really appreciate, but it is 4 o'clock in the morning. I was meant to be still asleep by now. I need to lay down, you know, and we'll come back because actually want to talk about the actual injuries and that kind of stuff later. So I'll definitely come back around the usual time, but and maybe if there's an update on the Hincapie stuff, we can talk about that again, but we'll do another show around the normal time, but I just wanted to hop on and talk about this Hincapie thing because obviously it was breaking news. Make sure you guys come back at about 6 PM UK time to chit-chat some more. Like this video and subscribe to the channel on the way out, and we will definitely talk on the next one. And yeah, Beckham will get a treat for sure. Like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.